The Sound of Freedom is the incredible true story of a formal government agent turned vigilante who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue hundreds of children from traffickers. In this film, it stars Jim Caviezel as Tim Ballard and directed by Alejandro Monteverde, whose work I have not seen before. But Jim Caviezel, he's Passion of the Christ and done a ton of things since then. And I thought that this film it completely took me by surprise. I thought it was amazing. And walking into it, I knew nothing about it. I didn't know the plot. I knew that Jim Caviezel was in it. I thought it was going to be some kind of cheesy action Christian movie. Completely blown away. The source material is super heavy. It is heart-wrenching. And I think one thing that it does well is the filmmaking relies on the realities of the events at hand, of the deep nature of the subject matter, and the filmmaking, it just embraces the darkness of it, but they don't have to go over the top and show the nitty-gritty details of what was happening to communicate the point. It's still dark, although it's a PG-13 rating. And I was completely surprised by this. There is not a bad shot in this film. The cinematography is gorgeous, and it keeps me plugged in and enthralled throughout its entire 2-hour plus runtime. I think that the story was simple, and the script was minimal in nature. They did a ton of showing and not telling to see the story play out. And I think that was a win for the film. It's not over the top obvious that it's a Christian film. You don't get a single moment of preachiness or anything like that. And I don't even know if you can call it a Christian film. It's not in the same way that the Kendricks brothers would make a film. It's more Christian in its subtle themes. And the themes being that, and Jim Caviezel says this directly to the screen, and this is the only time that we get an overt Christian, line, but he says, God's children are not for sale. And this man is driven by this deep conviction that he can't escape, a conviction that he's willing to leave his family for, his job for, and endure basically very serious personal sacrifices to see children rescued. And that's the theme. That's the theme here. The theme is that this conviction of this man is inevitable, and he can't avoid it. The theme is that God's children are not for sale. And at the core, this movie it's not this over-the-top right-wing conservative film. It's a film about saving children, right? I thought the acting by Jim as Tim Ballard was brilliant. And it was subtle, and it was not over the top. And there's moments where you can just tell he has so much inner conflict, and the tears just swell up. And even the children in this film are fantastic actors. And the girl who plays Rossio, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. This was last night when I saw it. But she was incredible. And every note hit from her, You see desperation in her eyes. You see a need for a rescuer in her eyes and in her spirit. And we feel that as the audience member all the way through the end as she, all the way through the end. That's all I'm saying. I almost said some spoilers there, but we'll leave it spoiler free. But a little side note, a little side story before I hop off of this, give my final grade of this film and wrap up this review, is that last night before bed, after I watched the film, I hop on Letterboxd, and I'm going in to leave the review and talk about the sound, the score, and the cinematography and the acting and how that all told the story. I want to talk about how the script was good but minimal in nature, and they did a lot of showing me that left an emotional impact, and the film did what it wanted to. It left the punch and left me convicted about slavery and human trafficking, right? I go over to Letterboxd reviews. There's so many half stars left by individuals over the last year. And I'm like completely surprised by this. And I start reading through some of these negative reviews, and you see that a lot of them have some comments in common. And it usually pertained to the producers of the film, the distributors, Angel Studios. It had something to do with Tim Ballard, the guy who's the story about, and his real life story, as well as his politics. And it also had something to do with the audience, the general audience that was watching this movie, which I didn't know it, but apparently it's 70-plus-year-old white people. I knew nothing about this film going in. I didn't know who has seen it before. I didn't even know who made it. I knew that Jim Caviezel starred in it, and I thought I was in for an action movie, probably some cheesy Christian action movie. And I was wrong, and I walked out very pleasantly surprised and pleased of this film. But a lot of people were commenting on, how uber conservative, and this is a very right-wing conservative conglomerate of a film. And I just don't think that. I don't think that this movie is about politics at all. It's about saving children. And we need to analyze and review films based on the story, the themes, the acting, the cinematography, the script writing, if it's believable, if it works, and if it entertains, and if it does it well. And when we start to tie in the production companies, the actors' political or religious beliefs, or anyone on board and on the cast, or even the general audience member, then I think we're doing a disservice to the film industry, and bringing in a ton of biases that are just not necessary and completely unhelpful. So, The Sound of Freedom is going to be 4 stars out of 5 stars, maybe 4.5 stars out of 5 stars. It definitely was a pleasant surprise, and I definitely think that you should see it. All right, editing Cam popping in here because I need to tell you that Sound of Freedom was made on a budget of $14.5 million, which I talked about briefly, but it grossed an estimated $250 million, which is an outrageous return. It makes me consider, why ever throw a single dollar at the stock market? Why ever throw a single dollar at real estate? I could throw all of my dollars towards Angel Studios, towards Christian movies moving forward. Why don't I just invest in that? They make bukus amounts of money. And so it did get me thinking, I'm not familiar with a bunch of Angel Studios work, as I haven't seen a ton of Christian media yet. I will be going through a lot of their titles, but I have heard that they have investment opportunities and ways that you can crowdfund and kind of get in on the projects that they are backing. And me and Jenna actually made the decision to throw some money at their next project, Sound of Hope. And the Sound of Hope, it follows Donna and Reverend Martin as they ignite a fire in the hearts of their rural church to embrace kids in the foster system that nobody else would take, and by doing the impossible, adopting 77 children in this East Texas community, proved that with real determined love, the battle for America's most vulnerable can be won. And director Joshua Weigel is on this project. He's this guy that was the youth minister in To Save a Life, film from 2009, which I'm dropping a quick 1-minute review on later this week. It also has Letitia Wright, who plays Black Panther's sister in the Avengers and in the Marvel, cinematic thing. But anyway, I just wanted to give the blurb on this because Christian movies make so much money. It is unreal. And uniquely, Angel Studios actually gives you a unique opportunity to buy it. Not like sponsored by Angel Studios or anything. I'm just going to kind of give my words and give you guys an update on how my investment goes in this film, and I will also just give updates on their box office numbers, and I will also give a review of Sound of Hope as well when it comes out next month. So go see Sound of Hope, and hopefully it does well. Please, if you like this, let me know what you think about The Sound of Freedom. Let me know what Christian films I should be reviewing as I go down this journey of watching and reviewing 50 Christian films. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.